In today's tutorial, you'll be learning how to place your blanks on your mat to engrave using the Cameo Creations engraving tip for silhouette. You will need the following supplies: double-sided tape, Cameo Creations engraving tip, X-Acto knife, squeegee, a pair of scissors, contact paper or shelf liner. Make sure that there is a paper side and an adhesive side so that when you pull off the paper side you reveal the adhesive side. And then you will need your choice of blanks that you are going to engrave on. Also, you will need your cutting mat as well. Make sure that you have your Silhouette Studio software open and ready to go. If you have made an engraving template with your sizes of your blanks, go ahead and open that. If not, no worries. We will start from scratch for a size of blank. We're going to open up a new document or page, and we are going to go down under cutting mat, and we're going to reveal at least 50% of your mat. This way you can see your columns and rows, and if you zoom in you'll be able to see your numbers. Today I'm going to be working on a 1-inch circle blank for this tutorial, so I need to make a 1-inch circle. I'm going to come over to the left hand side and choose draw an ellipse. In order to get a perfect circle, you have to hold down the left mouse button and the shift key at the same time while you're drawing your circle. Don't worry about the size of your circle. You can draw it as big or as small as you want, because we're going to go into the scale window and make it to the correct size that we need. So let's draw our circle. Now we're going to select our circle. We're going to come up to the scale window. We're going to go down to specify dimensions. We're going to uncheck lock aspect. We're going to go in the width and the height, and we're going to change that to 1 on both of those. And then we will click apply. As you will notice, when we click apply, it changes our circle into a 1-inch circle, a 1-inch height and a 1-inch width. Okay, now we want to place our circle where we're going to engrave at. When you are engraving, you want to be aware not to put your template or where your piece is going to engrave on up and down columns of 1, 4, 6, 11, and 12. This is because this is where your rollers and your black springs are on your roller. If they go over your metal piece while engraving, it will scratch it and your piece will be no good. Again, that is up and down columns 1, 4, 6, 11, and 12. So now we're going to move our shape. I'm going to go to column 5, and I'm going to go to about row 3. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to place our contact paper on our mat so that we can cut out our shape so we can begin to get our blank placed properly. Okay, now that we have our contact paper cut, we are going to place it on our mat. Well, I know that I have my shape on column 5, row 3. So I want to make sure that my contact paper covers that. So I'm going to place down my contact paper, sticky side down. Your paper side will be up. Take your squeegee after you place it and go through and make sure that your contact paper is as flat as you can get it and that it is secure to your mat. And it doesn't matter how big or small that you cut your contact paper. as long as you have enough space to cut out your blank shapes that you're going to be cutting or engraving on, just be sure that wherever you're going to place your blank on the mat, that your contact paper covers that section. You want to go ahead, remove your blade from your Cameo, and insert your Comus Creations engraving tip. Now we're going to load the cutting mat, and once we load the cutting mat, we're not going to remove it until we are completely done with engraving. So once it cuts out your shape where you're going to place your blank, you're still going to leave it in your machine and not unload it. Now let's go back to the software and get ready to cut out our shape. Now that we are back in Studio, we're going to select our shape. We're going to go over to our cut settings. We're going to make sure that our shape is selected, and we're going to choose Cut Edge. Then we'll go down to Material Type, choose Cover Stock. Make sure under Blade Type that you click the drop down arrow. Make sure that Sketch Pen is chosen. For your speed, you want to make sure that your speed is 9, your thickness is 33, and double cut is chosen. Now our mat is already loaded with our contact paper, and we're going to send this to Silhouette. What this is going to do is it is going to kind of cut the top layer of the paper, not the adhesive side of the contact paper. It's going to cut the paper layer so that when it's done, we can take our X-Acto knife, the tip of it, and pull out that 1-inch circle shape from the paper part of the contact paper. Now let's go ahead and send this to Silhouette. Now our engraving tip will make our shape that we made on our Silhouette Studio. And as I said, it will only cut the top layer, which is the paper of the contact paper that we have. Now that it has cut the shape out, we're going to find the shape, and then we will take our X-Acto knife and we will just barely lift up on it and pull our top layer. If it seems that it doesn't want to give, just run it back through your machine. But you shouldn't have a problem. You see how the 1-inch circle paper layer of the contact paper is coming up with no problem. Just throw that away. And now you're left with a 1-inch circle on your contact paper where your blank is going to sit. Now we have to take a couple of more steps. Now we have our adhesive side is showing, and it is up. Now we're going to take the double-sided tape. We're going to take a couple of strips, and we're going to put it over the shape that we just cut out. Now yes, there is an adhesive side. Yes, it will hold your blank. However, you want to be sure that your blank does not move around while engraving. The double-sided tape helps tremendously to hold it into place. Once we have the double-sided tape in place, we're going to take the blank that we are going to engrave on, which in my case is a 1-inch blank from Blank Slate at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to place it in the circle on my mat. Now if you already have a hole, make sure that when you place it, your hole is straight and where you want it to be. If you need to pick it up and adjust it a few times, that is fine. Once you get it where you want it placed, press down firmly, and then you can kind of wiggle it to see that it's not going to move. Okay, now we need to go back to Studio and choose the design that we're going to engrave. Now that we are back in Silhouette Studio, you should still be on your cut settings with your shape. your shape should still be selected. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take care of this part. We're going to go to our cut settings and we're going to click no cut. This is going to ensure that your shape does not cut again. If you do not do this part, you will mess your blank up. Okay, now you're going to go into your hard drive or your library and get the design that you're wanting to engrave. If you want to know how to fill in your designs to engrave, be sure that you check out my other 2 tutorials. One of the tutorials is how to fill in with Designer Edition using the sketch option. And the other tutorials for those that have the original Silhouette Studio software, so that it gives you an option to be able to fill in as well. I've already got my design up and traced and ready to go. And if you've watched the other tutorials, you will know that you duplicate your design and you're going to layer one on top of the other. As you can see, if I take one away, there's 2 designs. You want to make sure that you have both your designs selected once you're finished and happy with everything. Right click, copy, go back to your shape template, right click, paste in front, and we want to resize this because obviously this is too big for our blank. So with your design selected, you have little white boxes. I call these nodes. You want to grab one of the corner nodes and you want to resize it down. Now we're going to move it up to the blank, and as you can see, it is still too big for the shape. So we need to resize this a little bit more. Let's zoom in so we can get a better look. Okay. Now technically the design will go ahead and engrave and it will be perfectly fine. I want to give it just a little bit more room, so I'm going to click a corner node and resize it down a little bit smaller. I want to place it on the blank where I want it. And I see that it needs to be moved over a little more, so I'm going to reselect everything. Now if you reselect everything, you're going to have your shape selected as well. So you want to put your mouse button on your shape, hold down the shift key, and click the left mouse button. This will unselect the shape. Now I want to move over the design just a little bit. Alright, I see that I want to move it down just a little bit. This is just going to be preference and trial and error of how you want it. So I believe that is good to go. Now we're still on the cut settings, and if we select our design, make sure that your design is on cut. Not cut edge, but cut. Make sure that your material type again is cover stock. Your speed is 9. Your blade is sketch pen. Your thickness is 33, and you've chosen double cut. Because I have 2 designs, one on top of the other, each design's going to double cut. So actually you're getting 4 passes through the machine to give you a deeper engrave. Once you're happy with your placement, you have all your settings ready to go, you can send a silhouette. I do want to say though, if your design is more intricate and it's a lot of smaller pieces, you can turn your speed down to about 6. Sometimes I choose 4 depending on how small things are. Small designs like hearts and things like that if they're really, really tiny. So between 4 and 9 is a good speed depending on what your design is. Now we're going to send it to Silhouette and wait for it to finish engraving. Now we will wait for the design to engrave on the blank. Once it is done, do not unload your mat. Check your design and see if you want to send it back through for a deeper engrave. If you are satisfied with the design, you can take it off. You may notice a little bit of dust from where it is engraved. You can simply wipe that off with your finger or a polishing cloth. I do recommend, if you are selling or giving these as gifts, to purchase a inexpensive polishing cloth. You can pick up at Hobby Lobby for about $6, or you can also pick up a polishing cloth in the shoe department at Walmart, where you find the shoe polish. They have a little kit that has a polishing cloth in it that works well for it as well, which is about maybe about $2 and some change. Either way, you want to be sure that you polish your finished design, whether you're selling it or giving it away. Now we will wait for the design to finish engraving, and it may take a few minutes because, remember, you are doing 4 passes through your machine because you have 2 designs, one on top of the other. Now that your blank is finished engraving, you want to check to see if it looks how you're wanting it to look. If it does not, and you want to engrave a little bit deeper, go back to your Silhouette Studio software, click Start. It will send your mat back through and engrave again exactly where it engraved the first time. If you are happy with it, go ahead and unload your mat, remove your blank, polish it, and you can add your jump ring, your split ring, your necklace, keychains, whatever you plan to do with it. I will insert a still picture of my finished engraved piece for you to see. I hope that this tutorial has helped you with placement of your blanks to help you engrave better and to keep your blanks from moving around on the mat. I would love to see your creations. Be sure to subscribe, comment, and like. And until next time.